Water damage doesn't announce itself. It doesn't knock down your door like a tornado or shatter windows like hail. It shows up as a faint yellowish stain on the ceiling. You tell yourself is nothing, until it's mold, rotted subflooring, and a claim your insurer says came too late to count. Here are 5 ways to catch water damage before it becomes that story. And what to do if your insurance company tries to deny you anyway. First, check your ceilings and walls for stains. Yellowish-brown patches are the earliest, most visible sign of water intrusion, and the easiest one for an insurer to argue you should have caught sooner. Second, check your floors for warping or buckling. When water gets under the subflooring, boards shift and swell. If your floor doesn't feel or look the way it used to, that's not cosmetic, that's evidence. Third, inspect your attic and roof for leaks, ideally during an actual storm, when you can see exactly where water is getting in rather than guessing after the fact. Fourth, look for rust or corrosion on pipes, appliances, and HVAC systems. Metal doesn't rust from nothing. If you're seeing corrosion, water has been somewhere it shouldn't have been longer than you think. Fifth, trust your nose. A musty odor is often the first sign of mold growth, and mold growth is almost always downstream of water damage that hasn't been addressed. Here's what property owners get wrong. They wait. And waiting is exactly what an insurance company wants you to do, because timing is one of the easiest excuses in their playbook. This is the delay, deny, undervalue pattern in action. Insurers delay meaningfully engaging with your claim. Deny it by arguing the damage is gradual wear and tear rather than a covered event. Or undervalue it by minimizing the extent of hidden damage like mold and rot that isn't visible on a quick walkthrough. If you spot any of these 5 signs, file your claim immediately. Your insurer needs time to inspect and determine coverage. And every day you wait is a day they can use against you. Now, a few questions we hear constantly from Texas property owners once they're staring down a water damage claim. The first one, does homeowners insurance even cover water damage in Texas? It depends on the cause. Sudden, accidental water damage, a burst pipe, a busted water heater, a storm-related roof leak is typically covered. Gradual damage from a slow leak you should have caught isn't. And that word gradual is doing a lot of work for insurers because it's the easiest excuse in the book when they want to deny you. Which brings up the question people confuse more than any other. Isn't water damage the same thing as flood damage? No, and this mix-up costs homeowners real money. Flooding, meaning water entering from outside, due to rising groundwater, overflow, or storm surge, generally isn't covered by a standard homeowner's policy at all. That requires separate flood insurance. A pipe bursting inside your walls is a completely different category, and it's typically covered. So how long do you actually have to file? This is usually outlined in the policy itself, but the sooner the better. The moment you spot any of the 5 signs we just went through, document it and file. The longer you wait, the easier it is for an insurer to argue the damage grew worse, or even existed before you ever reported it. Here's another one that catches people off guard. Will insurance cover the mold that shows up after water damage? Sometimes, but often with limits. A lot of policies cap mold remediation at a set dollar amount separate from the repair itself, and some try to exclude it entirely, by arguing it came from a maintenance issue instead of a sudden event. That's language worth having someone review line by line before you accept an insurer's answer. And if your insurer comes back and says it's just wear and tear and denies you outright, know this, their inspector isn't a neutral party. They work for the company that pays out less every time a claim gets denied. A second independent inspection and a documented timeline of when the damage actually appeared can directly challenge that kind of denial. One more thing worth doing before an adjuster ever sets foot in your home. Document everything yourself. Photos, dates, a written timeline of what you noticed and when. You're not required to wait on the insurance company's inspector to have your own record, and that record becomes critical the moment a claim gets disputed. At StormLex Law Group, Flores, Manuel Pelaez-Prada, and Jake Rogiers represent property owners across Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, and all of Texas and Oklahoma, whose water damage claims got dismissed as too little, too late, by an insurer looking for any reason not to pay. If your water damage claim was denied, don't let your insurer's timeline argument be the final word. Call StormLex Law Group, and let's find out what you're actually owed.
StormLex Law Group, because you paid for coverage, not excuses.